Now at 5, the Neosho School District's innovative way to address a custodian shortage.
President Biden says he will make good on his promise to nominate a black woman to the nation's highest court. I'm Natalie Brand at the White House with a look at who could be on the list of potential candidates.
And the woman who defied the odds awakening from a coma.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Staff shortages have led to a new way for Neosho High School students to get a jump start on their resume. This is KOAM News at 5. The Neosho School District is rolling out a new program that will allow students to apply to become a part of their custodial staff. The students will be able to work up to 19 hours a week. The Assistant Superintendent Richie Fretwell says it's beneficial for both students and the school.
I would agree. I think it's a win-win for our school system, and I think it's a win-win for our kids. Maybe we instill some work ethic in them where they are getting paid, and then we're cleaning our schools and keeping them good for our community, our students.
Fretwell says their custodial department first became understaffed at the start of the pandemic, which heavily affected them due to the need for extra cleaning and sanitization. The rising tide of COVID cases from the Omicron variant is forcing some states to take extraordinary measures. New Mexico's governor has called out the National Guard just to keep students in the classroom. 80 guardsmen and women have volunteered to be substitute teachers because so many regular teachers and other staff are sidelined with COVID. Healthcare workers in about half the states face a deadline today to get their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine under a Biden administration mandate that will be rolled out across the rest of the country in the coming weeks. The mandate will cover more than 10 million healthcare workers at 76,000 facilities. It's taking effect first in jurisdictions that did not challenge the requirement in court. Those include some of the biggest states with some of the largest populations of senior citizens, but the mandate does not yet apply to Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, or Arkansas. Doug Heddy joins us now with a first look at the weather.
Well, not a bad day for us today. A little bit warmer than what we have seen, which is always nice to get, even though we're going to cool back down a little bit for us tonight. We have a weak little front that is sinking through, so we do have some mid and upper level clouds which are streaming through, but there's nothing underneath the clouds. So we are definitely going to stay on the dry side as we go through the overnight hours tonight. But you can see the bands of clouds which are kind of streaming through, but temps into the 40s today. That's a lot better than what we have seen. Most of us low to mid 40s across the region. We had southerly winds, but the winds have kind of switched back out of the north as we've had a weak little cold front. So this means we're going to cool down a little bit more for us tonight and then into Friday. We'll drop back through the 30s, mid 20s for us tonight. We're going to look into the weekend and our next storm system here in just a bit.
See you then. Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer officially announced he's stepping down at the end of the current term in early summer. Breyer is one of 3 liberal justices on the bench, and his retirement will end his nearly 28-year-long tenure. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
After a presidential handshake, Justice Stephen Breyer reflected on a nearly 3 decades-long career on the U.S. Supreme Court.
It's a kind of miracle when you sit there and see all those people in front of you, people that are so different in what they think, and yet they've decided to help solve their major differences under law.
President Biden, who presided over Breyer's confirmation as Senate Judiciary Chair back in 1994, called the justice's announcement bittersweet.
I think he's a model public servant in a time of great division in this country.
President Biden says he will announce his choice to replace Justice Breyer by the end of February, and he says he will make good on his campaign promise to nominate the first black woman to the nation's high court.
I will select a nominee worthy of Justice Breyer's legacy of excellence and decency.
Potential candidates include federal appeals court judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who once clerked for Justice Breyer, and Judge J. Michelle Childs, a favorite of South Carolina Congressman and Biden ally James Clyburn.
She has what I call the kind of background and experiences that we ought to have.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has said he wants to move quickly to confirm the president's nominee ahead of the midterm elections. President Biden said he would consult the vice president and senators from both parties before making his decision on a nominee. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
In a statement today, the Senate's top Republican, Mitch McConnell, urged the president not to outsource his decision to what he calls, quote, the radical left. Currently, there are 6 conservative and 3 liberal justices on the U.S. Supreme Court, and that is not expected to change with President Biden's first appointment. 2 Southeast Kansas communities receive a share of $23 million in federal grants to increase public safety and health care access in the state. The Neosho Memorial Regional Medical Center will rebuild and repair 3 boiler units with $175,000 in grants. A $35,000 grant for the Neodesha Police Department will fund new equipment and furniture for the new police department building. The department's old offices were closed in 2015 due to conditions of the building. The officers are currently housed in City Hall until the completion of the new building in a few months. Beaten Path, a new coffee shop located on Main Street just 2 doors down from Souls Harbor, is paving the way for kindness to grow in Joplin. Over cups of coffee and conversation, the owners have come to know and appreciate families and individuals experiencing homelessness. John Baker, the owner of the shop, admits he initially had misgivings about opening his place this close to this shelter. After hiring on help from his new neighbors for some projects, though, he realized he's right where he wants to be.
I'm not gonna lie, being over here this close to the shelter changed everything about my outlook on anyone in that shelter, in any shelter.
Baker hopes more people will do their part to spread kindness to those who often feel overlooked. Tonight at 6, we're going to meet a mother staying at Souls Harbor who appreciates having an ally like John nearby. Still ahead, the road to safety.
The Biden administration announces a new plan to lower traffic deaths. I'm Michael George with how one community was able to reduce traffic deaths to 0.
And next in Health Watch, the remarkable story of one woman's awakening from a coma even after a doctor had given up hope.
Have the meat.
Topping today's Health Watch, Moderna is ramping up its efforts to fight the Omicron variant of the coronavirus. The vaccine maker says it's kicked off a trial to study the efficacy of a booster tailored specifically to that strain. Moderna plans to enroll several hundred adults in its trial, including people who received its initial 2-dose regimen and participants who received that 2-dose regimen and the booster shot that's already out. People with Parkinson's disease may live longer if they eat a diet high in flavonoids. A study at Pennsylvania State University found patients who consume more apples, berries, orange juice, and red wine may have a lower chance of dying. Flavonoids are compounds found in plants that may have a protective effect on the brain. It's the medical prognosis no one wants to hear. When their daughter was in a coma, 2 parents were told to pull the plug by one doctor. So they sought a second opinion. They are relieved they did, because not only did she wake up, she's on the road to recovery. This is 32-year-old Julia Piantini, 1 month before her father got this phone call.
Do you know Julia Piantini? I said, of course I know her, she's my daughter. Well, this is so-and-so from Fire Rescue and we're here, she's not responsive.
Julia was in a coma after a blood clot traveled to her lung. Doctors told her parents initial brain scans showed no hope and they should say goodbye. A second opinion from neurologist Dr. Kester Ned told them she would wake up.
And one of the early signs that I saw from Julia when she was recovering is that she had sleep-wake cycle. She was able to fall asleep with the sun going down and awake with this sun coming up.
That's it, Julia.
Her parents believed him. This is Julia 1 month later in rehab.
Take my hand.
Then 6 weeks later, singing before she could see or speak. More than a year later, here she is walking to physical therapy.
Guess what, baby? I'm still here. Like the song, I'm still standing and walking and talking and dancing. I danced at my cousin's wedding.
When you see where she was a year ago to where she is today, it's really nothing short of a miracle.
Pencil.
Neurologist Dr. Castanet has developed the BHET method, which stands for Brain Hierarchical Evaluation and Treatment Method, a new way to look at how the brain is organized. You can find out more by clicking on this story at koamnewsnow.com. Combining cannabis and alcohol could be particularly dangerous for drivers. A study in the journal Addiction found the substances taken together affect driving performance more than either on its own. Researchers say the combination impairs drivers' ability to stay in their lane. And stoves that use natural gas can have a lasting impact on the environment and our health, according to Stanford researchers. A new study estimates that methane leaking from natural gas-burning stoves in the U.S. has the same impact on the climate as carbon dioxide emission from 500,000 cars. The study authors suggest switching to electric stoves could cut emissions and indoor air pollution. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the latest numbers on our nation's economic growth.
Plus, we're going to cool down a little bit for us on Friday, and we're also tracking a storm system for next week. I'll break it down coming up. Well, it turned out to be a great Thursday for us today. Temperatures fantastic. We went into the 40s for highs, quite a bit warmer than what we have seen over the past couple days. However, we have a cold front that is shifting through now. It's not a very strong cold front, but it will cool us back down just a bit as we go through the overnight hours tonight, and then a little bit cooler for us tomorrow. We do warm right back up for the weekend, and we're tracking a much stronger storm system, which is going to roll in next Tuesday and Wednesday. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That is koamnewsnow.com. Looks great. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri, right on the west side. Looks pretty good. We have partly cloudy skies. Temperatures, they aren't bad. Most of us low to mid 40s, which is quite a bit warmer than what we have seen over the past couple days. We had southerly winds help us warm up, and then look how the winds have switched around out of the north as that weak little cold front has rolled through. So again, that's going to cool us back down just a bit as we go into tomorrow. 7th and range line also looking pretty good. Through the evening hours, we slide back through the 30s into the 20s, low to mid 20s tonight. So it is going to be a cold night across the region. We do have some clouds which are kind of shifting through, so we're going to call it partly cloudy skies with that front that is down to our south. And if we look a little bit farther north, we do have a weak little wave. This may give us a few random flurries by the time we head into tomorrow morning. Besides that, we look pretty good as we go through the next couple days. So let's go ahead and break it down for you. In and out of the clouds for us tonight. We drop into the mid-20s, so it is going to be a cold night. As we go through the morning hours, we may see a random flurry. I do think we'll get mid-30s by noon, and then by the afternoon, near 40. So about 5 or 6 degrees colder than what we saw today. 26 to start, 36 by noon, high temp of 40. Northerly winds are going to be light at about 5 to 10. Tomorrow night we clear out, cold night again, mid-20s. But look at this, southerly winds return. So we're going into Saturday. This is really going to help us warm up. We're going to shoot all the way up into the 50s by the time we head into Saturday afternoon, which is going to be fairly nice. Let's go into Sunday. Sunday a little bit cooler, but still lower 50s, so the entire weekend looks great. We go into the 60s by Monday, and this is ahead of our next storm system. So by Tuesday, we start to get some showers. We may even get some thunderstorms. But late Tuesday, an Arctic front, this will be our 4th Arctic front that we have seen so far this winter season, drops in. So this rain goes over to freezing rain. So this is Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, freezing rain over to sleet, and then we finish it off with snow. So there's a lot to track with this system. It's still 5-6 days away, but we definitely have the chances to get a bigger winter storm out of this system by next week. 40 for us tomorrow. Weekend is great. 54 Saturday, 53 on Sunday, 64 on Monday, and then here comes the rain. We drop into the 20s, down to 10 Wednesday night. So, I mean, big switch, big swings.
Glad that 64 is not a typo.
Yeah, no kidding. Looks good.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Coming up, a plan for improving safety on our nation's highways. First, though, we recognize a local veteran of the U.S. Army. Timothy Geyer served in the Army from 2005 to 2011. His duties took him to Iraq and Afghanistan with an armored battalion. The Girard, Kansas native received a Purple Heart, and we are proud to salute Sergeant Timothy Geyer, a four-state hero.
Doug Hetty.
Topping today's Consumer Watch, the U.S. economy accelerated in the fourth quarter. According to the Commerce Department, GDP, which is the sum of all goods and services, rose 6.9% by the end of last year. That was better than expected, even as a rise in COVID infections weighed on various industries. Fewer Americans signed up for unemployment benefits last week. According to the Labor Department, first-time filings for weekly jobless claims fell by 30,000 to 260,000. That was slightly better than expected. Some families still qualify for a third round of stimulus if they did not receive it last year. Households whose families grew in 2021 qualify for an additional payment of up to $1,400. Growth could have been through having a baby or adding a dependent like a niece or a nephew during the year. The IRS will issue those payments based on this year's filing season. The cost of keeping a roof over your head shot up last year. According to Realtor.com, rent surged more than 10% on average in 2021. By the end of last year, the national median for a one-bedroom apartment was more than $1,600, which is up 19% from the prior year. Many large cities saw big increases. Rents in Miami, Florida alone, they shot up nearly 50%. For almost 30 years, deaths from car crashes steadily dropped in this country. But recently that number has been on the rise, taking the lives of drivers, passengers, and pedestrians. Well, now the federal government has a new plan to keep Americans safe. Michael George reports.
This is a national crisis.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says U.S. roads are becoming deadlier. Preliminary data shows more than 20,000 people died in car crashes during the first 6 months of 2021. That would be the largest number since 2006. The number of pedestrians killed is also on the rise.
As people drove at higher speeds, more recklessly, more distracted, it is disproportionately impacting some Americans more than others. People of color, Native Americans, low-income communities.
In an effort to lower deaths, Buttigieg is releasing a new national roadway safety strategy. It includes rethinking speed limits and studying greater use of speed cameras. There's also $6 billion in grants for safer road designs, including bike lanes, better lighting, and crosswalks. Some of those designs have already taken place in several cities, including here in Hoboken, New Jersey.
We've increased the time during which pedestrians can cross the street.
Mayor Ravi Balla says there are also dedicated lanes to protect bikers and curb extensions that protect pedestrians and allow traffic to flow better.
In the last 4 consecutive years, we're one of the only few cities in the country to have 0 traffic-related deaths.
Our goal is 0 deaths.
Buttigieg says getting there will also require automakers to make safety features like auto braking available in more cars. One part of a comprehensive plan designed to make U.S. roads safer. Michael George, CBS News, Hoboken, New Jersey.
A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, on this National Holocaust Remembrance Day, the story of a 98-year-old Auschwitz survivor who's educating the next generation through TikTok. Then on KOAM News at 6, sentencing for 2 of 9 suspects in a 2020 Southwest Missouri murder. Plus, we're going to meet a mother staying at Souls Harbor who appreciates the kindness from a new Joplin coffee shop. And post-game reaction after the Missouri Southern women get their 6th straight win. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Doug Hetty, not a bad day out there today.
No, it was actually pretty good. Mid-40s. We had a decent amount of sunshine. We did get a cold front that rolled through over the past couple hours, so this is going to cool us down. Low to mid-20s for overnight lows, and then a little bit cooler tomorrow, but still good. High temp right around 40. Look at the 50s over the weekend, so the weekend's going to be fantastic, up to 64 on Monday. And then rain, sleet, freezing rain, snow by the middle of next week.
Look at that. We have a 64 in that forecast, and we have a 10 in that forecast.
What do you do?
Before we go, Jenny, I want you to punch up a shot of the control room. Would you do that? There you go. Now you got to wave. Can you wave a hand? Okay, Jenny. It's Jenny Schaefer. She is our technical director extraordinaire, and she has some good moves, as you see. This is also directing her last 5 o'clock news today. We're going to say some more goodbyes at 6 and tomorrow at 10. But Jenny, we wish you luck. We'll see you right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.